1, 2, is this on?
Sometimes the fans choose a wrestler that WWE has no plans of pushing.
I'm a fan too. We want Ryder, woo woo woo, all that shit. I love all that. Yeah.
Even when the support is so strong, the company might still ignore these organic reactions.
Duly noted.
That's when I went to Vince and I told him, hey Vince, we have something here. He's like, no, they're fucking with you. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, they don't mean Rusev Day.
Or they may briefly throw the talent a bone before positioning them right back where they were to begin with.
For 3 years that show was on the air, I was the highest rated main event every year. They were doing nothing with me, and they still wouldn't go with me.
In this video, we'll mostly be covering mid-carders that were reaching for the proverbial brass ring.
Me and Brodus Clay, now known as Pirates, like we had some house show matches. The building was shaking, and then certain people saw that, went to the agent and like, hey, they need to go on, and they should only do 5 minutes because it's taken away from the show. It's like, no.
Man, oh my god.
But we'll also feature 2 big names that were set up to fail after grabbing said brass ring.
It did nothing for me. They killed me the whole time.
Today, we list 10 times WWE dropped the ball with wrestlers who got over organically.
AJ Styles.
The way I do talk, Vince doesn't see a person that looks like me talking like me, and I don't think he can get over that.
Before the age of social media, those who usually sat in the locker room during the show couldn't do much to get over if they weren't booked, since it was easier for WWE to kill off a wrestler's momentum if the performer wasn't in their plans, especially just as the talent was starting to get over. The Hurricane sold over 1 million replica masks during his time with the company, but he never managed to get as far as holding the Intercontinental title, despite the crowd backing him.
I sold 1 million masks. This fucking things were $10 a piece, so do the math. I was the first under 200-pound guy to make money for Vince. Well, I'm talking about like merch, talking about making real money where they keep your ass around, for a good amount of time.
His rivalry with The Rock should have been somewhat of a launching pad for the superhero.
From what I saw behind that curtain, it means the Scorpion King got a tiny ding-a-ling. What is tiny? You talk a big game, and your gums, they do flap. But it would appear that you're full of Brahma bull crap.
This was originally supposed to be a one-off, but it turned into a mini feud that was the best thing on Raw for a few weeks. Following his angle with The Rock, the company failed to capitalize on Hurricane's buzz. He wrestled some matches against top guys, but didn't get enough wins to build up any sort of a sustained push. Plus, there were still weeks he was working heat and not being featured on Raw. Then by the summer, Hurricane was put in a tag team storyline with Rosie. Hurricane spoke about WWE not getting enough out of his singles run in 03 during an interview with Fightful, where he specifically mentions his loss to Triple H a couple weeks after the Rock victory.
Because The Rock does something like that, you got to get the most out of it. Do I think that it was too early to beat me after The Rock did what he did for me? Without a doubt, and I think everybody felt that. Everybody that wasn't involved in that match, I should say.
Rey Mysterio is obviously a massive star that's always remained over in WWE. However, they've never allowed him to be a credible world champion, even though Mysterio won the Royal Rumble and went on to capture the big gold at WrestleMania 22. You'd be hard-pressed to find a world champ that was booked weaker. Rey's time with the belt was probably the worst period of booking in his WWE career, when you consider how many times he lost non-title matches while holding the strap, where he was often convincingly defeated by mid-carders.
Finley has Mysterio in trouble. The Celtic Cross. Here's the cover. Finley has pinned the champion. There you go. Oh my God. 5-star, 5 splash. I'll take this one, JR. Thank you. Hook in the leg, 2 and it's up.
Following each loss, a subsequent championship match either wouldn't take place or would end in a DQ, meaning Mysterio couldn't get any form of revenge against any of these wrestlers who beat him, never mind getting his win back, which the higher-ups clearly weren't interested in booking.
That's it. Oh my God. That is it.
Eddie Guerrero's passing meant they had to go with Mysterio given his momentum and crowd reactions, but the company was going to let you know through the booking that they didn't want to do it deep down.
Vince asked everybody that wanted Rey to be the champion to raise their hand in this meeting, and everybody raised their hand. So Vince said, okay, I'm going to give him the title. He's going to hold it from this date to this date. Also, at that time, he referred to Rey as a pepper belly, and it was an archaic term for Mexicans, like back in the 40s and 50s, because they ate a lot of peppers.
There's a difference between taking a beatdown to gain sympathy and losing matches every few weeks just because Vince McMahon thinks you're too small to be champion.
He'll put him. Here's the cut. We made plans that work. And Kali is pinned.
Mysterio's awful title reign may have ruined his momentum, but his reactions never wavered. He had certainly earned another run with the belt, even if it took 4 more years for this to happen. Rey had 2 more world title reigns, both lasting less than a day, since he won and lost each belt on the same show.
Tombstone pile driver. Kane is the new world champion.
Poor Rey deserves so much better than this. Damien Sandow had the ability to take anything WWE gave him and make it worth watching. His intellectual savior heel character had potential, and it appeared that the company were going to give him a shot after he won the Money in the Bank ladder match in 2013.
This kid not like this. Sandow is Mr. Money in the Bank.
Sandow had been on a losing run prior to winning the briefcase, and this streak pretty much continued until the 2 weeks leading up to his cash-in. Sandow's character was still strong enough to where losses didn't affect him as much as they would have others. However, his failed attempt to cash in on an essentially one-armed John Cena hurt Sandow greatly.
Cena lifts up Sandow. The AA. No way. Cena does it. Cena does it.
Previous Money in the Bank holders had also lost a lot in the run-up to successfully cashing in, but then you had Sandow, who failed so spectacularly while doing countless jobs along the way.
Did you feel any type of way when they had you lose that championship match?
Of course I was pissed. I'd been booked like crap. I would lose a match, but get on the mic and still you're uncrowned champion and hold the briefcase up and everything. That was the hand I was dealt that night. I was pissed, but in terms of how I over-delivered and kind of turned myself babyface, the fact that, like, okay, I went to SmackDown the next night, there was some stuff, but then they just kind of, that's when they started completely cooling me off after that.
It was truly woeful booking, as Sandow then became a full-on comedy performer, cosplaying as various characters and other wrestlers. He was still very entertaining, but wasn't being pushed or taken seriously on television since he continued to lose every week.
I'm the number heel selling t-shirt in the company, and you yank my merch off. Like, come on.
Oh, man.
It was personal, yes, because they're affecting my career.
After Damien got himself over again, this time as The Miz's stunt double in 2015, WWE had another chance to push Sandow, now as a lovable babyface.
The universe is actually chanting Sandow's better. What? Miz's about to come in, Michael. That's what I'm talking about. Here comes the tag.
However, following his rivalry with The Miz, Damien was back playing dress-up, despite the fact it appeared he was going to be himself again after the Miz feud.
3 years ago, I came to the WWE with a blue bathrobe and the idea that I was going to enlighten everybody. Needless to say, we all know how that one ended. After that, I was actually told to my face that I was not entertaining enough. What followed, some people were thinking I was losing my mind, but it was actually a quest to entertain. Mizdow caused me to lose a lot of respect with my peers, but I gained something that means much more to me than that. I gained the respect of the WWE Universe. You're welcome!
Sandow was relegated to the C shows a few months later, where he remained for the next year until being released. Despite all the damage WWE had done to his character, Sandow still got good reactions in 2016 during the few occasions he appeared on Raw, SmackDown, or pay-per-views.
Yeah, but the key is you don't want you or your partner to be out of this match, because you got to be in it to win. Dumber, he almost won the whole thing. Now Shaq just eliminated.
Tommy Dreamer was another who was able to bounce back despite so many losses. In fact, he pretty much made a career out of it, especially in the revived version of ECW, where Dreamer was looking up at the lights most weeks. Numerous talent came and went as ECW champion during this time, but WWE weren't willing to give Dreamer a title reign, despite the fact he was one of the most popular babyfaces on the brand.
For 3 years that show was on the air, I was the highest rated main event every year. They were doing nothing with me, and they still wouldn't go with me.
His matches routinely had the highest TV ratings each year compared to anyone else on the ECW show, and yet Tommy would have to put over every lumbering oath WWE were trying to push but completely failing with. The company realized they could have Dreamer lose as much as they wanted, and yet the fans would still get behind him. In 2009, the WWE were finally going to give Dreamer a push, as a storyline was created where Tommy announced that he'd leave the company if he didn't win the ECW championship at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view.
I will be ECW champion again.
Dreamer emerged victorious on the night, which made for a great feel-good moment.
DDT! Can Tommy Dreamer's career continue?
That summer, ECW's television ratings increased during Dreamer's push, but fell back down and continued to decline starting from August. This was when Tommy wasn't in main events anymore, and was predominantly kept off the show until his departure at the end of the year.
People want to know, how's that gastric bypass working out for you there, buddy?
Basically, WWE were prepared to throw Dreamer a bone, but weren't interested in going any further despite fan interest, as seen from how he was still getting beat despite holding the belt.
Oh! That's an iron curtain that descends on ECW and... Wow! How's that with the cover on Tommy Dreamer? And he got him!
Even though Dreamer's reign was brief, lasting just 7 weeks, it was better late than never after years of being constantly overlooked. The innovator of violence proved no matter what, he'll always be the heart and soul of ECW.
Mixed with that intuitive aptitude, Vance Archer is one of the most dangerous superstars on ECW.
What does your father and mother do for a living? And my daughter Kimberly said my daddy falls down a lot, but my daddy always gets up.
Mustafa Ali had numerous Neely moments in WWE. The first one saw him taken out of the 2019 Elimination Chamber match, where he was expected to get a featured role. This was due to an injury, but it meant he lost some of the momentum he had after a hot start to life on SmackDown.
Disrespectful attitude that Orton is displaying has brought him every one of those 13 world titles.
All I know is I was about to beat 5 of the best on SmackDown going into Elimination Chamber, so I guarantee you I was heading to WrestleMania.
Following WrestleMania that year, it looked like Ali's push was going to restart. He was penciled in to win the Money in the Bank, but just before his music began playing, Mustafa was told by Vince McMahon that plans had changed.
Looking up at me, he goes, "Change of plans. When the time's right, I want you to climb up the ladder and grab the briefcase. Someone's going to come out and just have shock in your face. He's going to run down, tip the ladder over, and you stay down."
Brock Lesnar! No! He's just dumped Ali! 8th man of the match! Brock Lesnar!
Mustafa's momentum came to a halt yet again, but an impressive match with Randy Orton at Hell in a Cell later in the year had people talking about Ali once more. Even Orton felt Ali should have left with his hand raised on the night.
Spins him around. What? Wait a minute! Ali countered the RKO! Orton can't believe it! Roll up almost caught Randy!
After this, Mustafa appeared in some marquee multi-man matches, but was never the focus. Fans were crying out to see Ali lift a mid-card title during this period, but he was never afforded such an opportunity.
The tides can turn at a moment's notice. Hometown advantage for Ali. We hear the WWE Universe come alive.
After being paired in a tag team with Chad Gable that went nowhere, Ali was taken off television by the start of 2020. From there, videos began airing repackaging Ali as a hacker character. This never came to fruition, though he did reveal himself to be the culprit months later. There was buzz around Ali when he returned later that summer, but he was immediately put on the back burner again until joining the failed Retribution faction. Ali's momentum and various pushes had stopped and started so many times now that by the start of 2022 he requested his release. This was not granted though, and Ali was mostly on the losing end for the rest of his time with WWE, before ultimately being fired in September 2023. Rusev struck gold after being paired with Aiden English in 2017. The two had brilliant chemistry as they ushered in the era of Rusev Day, something the fans immediately latched onto.
I also proclaim today, September the 26th, Rusev Day.
Rusev Day!
This match.
Well, Byron, let me ask you a question since you're such an expert. When's the last time The Undertaker won a casket match on Rusev Day?
Byron, when's your birthday? August 20th. Canceled. Rusev Day.
As chants rang out in arenas up and down the country.
Championship victory at WrestleMania 2014. Daniel Bree-Bell returning from the home.
Samoa Joe.
Duly noted.
Despite the popularity, the WWE was slow to start up any form of a push since none of this was in their plans.
That's when I went to Vince and I told him, "Hey, Vince, we have something here." He's like, "No, they're fucking with you." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, they don't mean Rusev Day." I'm like, "Sir, our merchandise is sold out everywhere." He says, "Well, maybe they didn't make enough."
In fact, after Rusev began catching steam, it was over 9 months until he officially turned face. By then, the wheels were starting to fall off since Rusev was no longer with Aiden anymore after a badly booked breakup storyline. The Bulgarian Brute then struggled to get a run of victories together, besides a 1-month reign as US champ in December 2018. By this point, Rusev Day had become out of date. In wrestling, when a talent gains so much momentum in a short space of time, you have to strike when the iron is hot. We're not saying Rusev should have been world champion straight away, but he deserved something more than the scraps he was given. At the beginning of 2019, he turned heel and was put in a tag team with Shinsuke Nakamura. The duo weren't successful, and Rusev was then taken off TV for an extended period after WrestleMania 35. The final angle in his first WWE run was the infamous love triangle with his wife Lana and Bobby Lashley. But the less said about that, the better.
Hey guys. No! Bobby Lashley is kissing Rusev's wife!
Zack Ryder took the wrestling world by storm in 2011, thanks to his self-produced YouTube series, Z True Long Island Story, which he launched to generate buzz. The show was so entertaining it led to fans chanting Ryder's name at shows.
I'm a fan too. We want Ryder, woo, 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 all that shit. I love all that. Yeah.
And by the end of the year, his efforts paid off as he finally secured a regular position on WWE's main shows. But within months, everything unraveled. In storyline, Zack lost his girlfriend Eve and was infamously pushed off the stage by Kane without ever getting payback on either person. To make matters worse, WWE took control of his YouTube show, moving it to their official channel and watering it down significantly. The creative freedom disappeared, and with it, the fun of making the series. Ryder later expressed regret over surrendering control. Looking back, Ryder feels he should have ended the show at its peak. It had accomplished what it needed to, but by 2012, he had slipped back down the card, a place Zack remained for the rest of his WWE run, where he spent most of his time doing jobs or exclusively working on the C shows. Still, his bond with the fans never disappeared, and in 2016, they were rewarded with one of WrestleMania's most genuine feel-good moments. Against all odds, Ryder won the Intercontinental Championship in a ladder match at WrestleMania 32.
Miz grabbing the championship, and from the other side, it's Zack Ryder! Zack Ryder pushes Miz down! Zack's got the title! Zack Ryder! Zack Ryder! Zack wins the championship!
The crowd exploded, and for a brief moment, it felt like WWE had finally recognized the people's choice. But that joy was short-lived. Less than 24 hours later, Ryder dropped the title to The Miz on Raw.
Out of here! Miz! Skull-crushing finale! Zack was distracted! Miz hooks the leg! Miz is a 5-time Intercontinental Champion!
And just like that, he was right back in the same position, over with the crowd, but overlooked by management. During his peak, Ryder was one of WWE's top merch sellers, and among the most followed wrestlers online. Fans saw no reason why he couldn't have held the same kind of mid-card spotlight as The Miz or Dolph Ziggler. In hindsight, Ryder himself has said he wishes he had challenged WWE more directly about his spot, because despite proving he could get over on his own, management never fully invested in the internet champion.
During that time, I could have easily knocked on Vince McMahon's door and been like, hey, what's going on here? So I don't have an answer, so I blame myself. I'm not going to say WWE bury me. I think that's the cop-out. That's the easy way out. And I never wanted to take that route.
After breaking off from the Wyatt family and turning face in early 2017, fans believe Luke Harper was set to have a big year. His in-ring work was always on point, plus he was getting solid reactions from the people.
AJ Styles.
Finally, it looked like Harper was going to really break out as a single star in WWE. However, by the summer, he was seen less and less on television, only coming in to put talent over.
Official was paying attention to the mask. Here's the cover, and Rowan's going to knock off Harper. A Colossus to Harper. Cover. And Mahal able to take out Luke Harper tonight.
Luke reunited with former tag partner Eric Rowan at the end of 17, but less than a year later, Harper was continuously kept off TV, even after recovering from an injury layoff. This led to him requesting his release shortly after WrestleMania 35, though this wasn't granted and Harper remained under contract until December, while only being used sparingly.
There's Luke Harper. A lot of talent.
It appears that Vince was never much of a Harper fan. The chairman wanted Luke to do a southern accent while part of the Wyatts, but then got frustrated when he couldn't pull it off. McMahon also reportedly hated Harper's match with Dominik Dijakovic in 2019. Harper, real name John Huber, could never catch a break with the boss, despite trying his best.
The way I do talk, Vince doesn't see a person that looks like me talking like me, and I don't think he could get over that. He saw a backwoods hillbilly who talked in a southern drawl, and being from Rochester, New York, and being somewhat eloquent, he didn't understand. and it just didn't compute with him.
Even after John passed away, Vince reportedly had no appreciation for Huber. One of John's friends and former peers, Rick Victor, spoke to Cafe de Rene about McMahon's behind-the-scenes reaction to Huber's tragic passing in 2020.
So I was really surprised at how Vince took Brody's death and how little he cared and how much it pissed him off that people did care about it.
NATALYA has been one of the most tenured wrestlers on WWE's roster, but the veteran often gets undervalued by the company when it comes to being pushed or maintaining a strong on-screen presence. From being given a disgracefully pathetic farting gimmick while being paired with the Great Khali and Hornswoggle for no particular reason, to not holding a world title for nearly 8 years. Plus, just look at all the wrestlers she's had to put over while they get pushed on Raw or SmackDown.
Wow! Already! Riptide! Wait a minute! Roll up by Aaliyah! Shoulders are down! Aaliyah wins! Holy hell!
Meanwhile, Natty is often stuck working the C shows despite rarely getting injured while acting as a workhorse for the company since 2008. In fact, she's only held a women's singles title twice this entire time. Despite being consistently popular with the fans, there's been plenty of opportunities where WWE should have gone with NATALYA but didn't. Here's hoping in the future she receives another title reign that's been so long overdue. Lastly, we'll look at Rob Van Dam and his second WWE spell as opposed to his original run. There was plenty of hype when Van Dam returned in the summer of 2013. His first few months went well. He was booked strong and had a featured role in the world title picture. RVD then took a break until his comeback on the night after WrestleMania 30. However, this time it was clear the company had no plans for him. Besides putting others over, the whole effing show still had some of the best reactions on the show. But after his first couple of matches back, Rob couldn't buy a win unless he was wrestling Jack Swagger. Losing week in, week out while not in any storylines was no way to treat a popular legend like Van Dam. On his one-of-a-kind podcast, RVD was critical of WWE's creative and how they used him in 2014.
It did nothing for me. They killed me the whole time. I remember seeing Vince that whole second trip in my mind right now in 2014. I know I must have said hi to him in Gorilla.
Now, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out our similar video on 10 overhyped WWE wrestlers who failed miserably. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.